Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Show, our last Monday show before the international break. So we're reviewing Matchday 27 of the Bundesliga, of course. Got a great show ahead of us with our featured four, mainly concentrating on a bit of the relegation race, as well as luckily being joined by a brand new guest in the shape of Benedikt Engelberts of Die Hinterhofsänger, which is basically the Mainz fan podcast. So we're absolutely buzzing to be able to have Benedikt on the show this evening. So hope you can join us and enjoy the show. If you've got any comments or questions, of course, for us or our guest this evening, pop them in the chat and we'll get them answered as a priority. Just to mention, of course, this show, our channel is indeed in partnership with Bundesliga Boxes, a brilliant company who provide mystery authentic German t-shirts. So make sure you go check them out on Twitter and on their website, because I do believe their next batch is dropping very, very soon. And of course, if you like the show, please do drop us a like. As I mentioned, come over from Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, join us on YouTube. It's the only way you can interact with us properly and ask some questions, and do subscribe to the channel. Right, Mark, over to you to quickly get through some scores, and then we'll bring Benedikt straight in.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look at the scores on the doors for week 27. So yeah, obviously we had a bit of a strange incident really on Friday evening, didn't we? The game was actually abandoned with Mönchengladbach 2-0 ahead in Bochum. We'll talk a little bit more about what happened with that in our talking points, so we're not going to dwell too much on that now. Then moving on to the Saturday game, Stuttgart got a a massive 3-2 win over Augsburg in the relegation dogfight at the bottom of the league. Mainz with a very, very big win over struggling Bielefeld. Hertha Berlin started their life under Felix Magath with a 3-0 win over high-flying Hoffenheim. Greuther Fürth with another unbeaten home game, but it wasn't really a classic against Freiburg, with that game ending in a 0-0 bore draw, really, let's be honest. Bayern Munich continued their march to the title with a 4-0 win over faltering Union Berlin. Then another 0-0. It's not often we see 2 0-0s in the Bundesliga in 1 week, is it? But I guess these two teams are a little bit tired after a lot of fixtures in recent weeks, particularly Frankfurt, who will be happy to take a point from a 0-0 draw in Leipzig. Then, Leverkusen with 2 late goals to get a really, really big win in Wolfsburg, which took them back up to 3rd place in the Bundesliga table. And then the weekend finished with FC Köln playing out a 1-1 draw with Borussia Dortmund, which obviously massively affects Dortmund's title bid, as they now fall 6 points behind Bayern Munich at the top of the league. Okay, so over to you, Rory, to introduce our guest this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Without any further delay, let's get him in. So we've got Benedikt Engelberts of Die Hinterhofsänger, which is the only Mainz led fan-based podcast, which is run by Benedikt and 2 other individuals. So let's bring in Benedikt so that we can see him. Oh, here we go. Evening, Benedikt.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hello, very good. Thank you. Thank
you very much for joining us. How's it going over in? You're just south of Mainz, aren't you?
Yes, I'm living very, very near Mainz, so it's just a short trip to the stadium. Yeah, it's very good. I had a nice day working. And then I was looking forward to joining you today.
Excellent stuff. Presumably basking in the glory of a thoroughly well-deserved win, which obviously we will talk about in depth, but presumably very pleasing performance.
Yeah, I had a blast on Saturday, being in the stadium, being in the stands. Fan base, support, everybody was there. Yeah, it was a really nice game, and we had fun.
Excellent stuff. So what we'll do is we'll crack on with the show then. So over to you, Mark, to introduce game 4 of our featured 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we'll start the feature 4, which is obviously mine and Rory's big 4 games of the weekend. We picked the best, the most entertaining 4 games from the weekend. So yeah, let's start with our countdown, starting with game number 4. So yeah, it was that big win for Bayern Munich over, I would say, faltering Union Berlin, really. Obviously, since Max Kruse and Marvin Friedrich left the club in January, they haven't looked the same side to me. And this was another, I think they started the game pretty well, to be honest with you. I think Awoniyi had a couple of good chances. They forced a very, very good save from Neuer, I think, at 1-0 down. But ultimately, they faded badly in this game and were well beaten, really, weren't they, Benedikt? What did you make of this game?
Yeah, I think it was one of the typical games from a smaller club against Bayern. You have to use your chances, and Union had a few of them, but they couldn't get it done. So against Bayern, if you want to win or if you want to even get a point, you have to score. And the mistakes they made in the backfield, I think maybe it was 20 minutes or so and it was a pass, and Lewandowski could run up straight to the goalie, and I don't know what happens there. And they had maybe 2 or 3 of those situations that can't happen against Bayern. They're so ice cold. They're going to use their chances. And if Kingsley Coman, if he makes such a goal, like a goal of the month style, you don't have a chance.
Yeah, it was a tricky task for Union, probably made even harder by the fact that Bayern were coming off 2 draws in a row. They wouldn't have been very happy with the way that they played in the last few games. So they're certainly out for revenge. I think, Mark, you called it on the show saying that it would have been 5-0. Well, that's what your prediction was. But yeah, Benedikt, just kind of touching on Union, as you mentioned, not taking a couple of those chances, and you don't want to dwell too much on the Max Kruse thing, but even the commentators were saying during the game for us on Sky Sports, if Max Kruse is in that team, he probably takes at least 2 of them. So as you mentioned, taking chances against Bayern is absolutely critical. And I also think that Luther in goal didn't cover himself in glory with a couple of the shots on goal, to be honest. So, on the scoreline, it looks 4-0, but realistically, if those kind of things go for you, then I suppose Union were in the game. Do you think Union have dropped off a large amount just because of the Kruse transfer, or do you think it's down to other things?
I think Kruse is a very important player. Was a very important player for Union, for their team and for their team spirit. He's such a player. He has so many clubs where he's been at, and he can lead the team. And I think if such a player leaves, he leaves behind maybe a hole that it takes some time to fill. And if you look at the past few games, the last game that Union won was against Mainz, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago. And they haven't been really good since the Rückrunde started. And so I think they're struggling a little bit, but they will stabilize soon enough. Some other person will grow into the role of the leader that Max Kruse has been. That's how it usually goes.
Yeah, sorry, very quickly from me, just to finish off on Bayern, then Benedikt. Firstly, I presume you can't see anyone past them for the title, aka Dortmund probably aren't going to catch them. So I presume you agree with that. And would you what would you make of their chances in the Champions League as well?
I think in Germany, very many people said, that's a free win that they get. At least for this round, I think they have a very good chance. Bayern is struggling as usual in the middle of the Rückrunde, but in the important games, Bayern is always there, and they do the things they do. It's kind of funny because you can always you should bet on Bayern always, because they always get that last goal in, or have that one chance, or have that one save where no one knows where it comes from. They are lucky. They are Bayern.
Yeah, just a little bit of bitterness there about the number of titles and stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I know how it feels as a Nuremberg fan. I know how it feels completely. Obviously, one of our big rivals. But yeah, it's that's just how it goes sometimes. Okay, yeah. So let's swiftly move on to game 3, and this is one that obviously involves Benedikt's team very, very closely. Obviously, Mainz for me, this was just a demolition process, really, of a Bielefeld side who are starting to look really, really poor to me at the moment, to be honest with you. And I thought, I'll be honest with you, as good as Mainz were, I just thought it was a very, very easy win. Obviously, literally from the first minute when Mainz broke the deadlock inside 60 seconds. Obviously, with the goal from Johnny Burkhardt, one of the stars of the season from Mainz, the young centre forward has been really, really good for them. Although sometimes you do want to see him get a few more goals, I guess, at times. But he finished well for me, one of Mainz's best players, Sylvain Widmer's assist. I don't know about you, Benedikt, but I'm a really, really big fan of Widmer. Do you agree with that? Am I right to rate him so highly?
Yeah, I think maybe Sylvain Widmer is a top 3 right back in the Bundesliga. It was such a jackpot for Mainz to get a player so good for I think maybe 2 or 3 million euro. That it's not an easy task, and you got to applaud Christian Heidel for getting a player of his format, and to get him to join Mainz, because players like him don't usually go to places like Mainz.
Yeah, but you've got quite a few good players on your books at the moment, that's for sure. And another one of them is obviously Johnny Burkhardt. Did you rate him very highly as well, or do you think he's still got a bit of improvement and kind of improvement to make in the next the rest of the season and year going ahead?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve, I think, for Johnny. For him, it's the sky's the limit. You can't write him off. He has, I think, before his goal in the first minute, he had 950 minutes without scoring a goal himself. But he's so important for the team. The way he presses defenders, the way he has the pass. He interacts with Karim Onisivo and all the other offensive players. He's always working to get back and to get the ball back into Mainz's possession if we lose the ball and on attack. And I think he has very high places to go. We were speculating because I think Adeyemi is hurt. So there has been speculation because Hansi Flick has been to Mainz games more often than other Bundestrainer in the last time, and he's certainly one of the best German strikers right now. Yeah, and he's just so young. I think he won't play in Mainz for too long if he keeps getting better and better. I think maybe we have one season where he plays, and then you can expect that he will leave the club, but the payday will be huge.
Very true. Yeah, very absolutely true. Going back onto the game then, Benedikt. So 1-0 up after next to no seconds. Thought you had a second as well from a corner near Carce's header where Ortega kind of fumbles at him, but I think that it was said that the referee's watch said it was a goal, but they had to VAR check it, which was very strange for me. The technology saving the referee's bacon there, that was a bit of an odd one. That was very strange, wasn't it? I think Dominic Kor hit the crossbar, didn't he? So, we saw the majority of the goals in the second half, but the first half, was just as dominant, I think, as the second. And then what a crazy second half that was. I mean, Bundesliga history was made in two facets in terms of there's never been 3 penalties awarded in a second half or in 45 minutes of a Bundesliga game, and there's never been 3 separate scorers of penalties in a Bundesliga game, if I've got my facts right. I mean, was it Mainz just being ruthless, making the most of a very ordinary Bielefeld defensive display?
I think it was like a typical Mainz game. You start into the game and you are really angry and you attack. Angry is maybe the wrong word. But aggressive. So you're really aggressive. Try to get the ball. You press the opponent, and an early game is always good for Mainz, and I think that was the worst thing that could have happened to Bielefeld, because they are not the best Bundesliga club. I like Bielefeld very much. I have very many friends who are Bielefeld fans. But they don't have the players to to dominate a game, let's say. And so if a goal if you concede a goal in the first minute, your whole game plan is gone. And they struggled real hard, and I think they didn't even shoot one shot on target. So that's just not a good form from Bielefeld. And I think if you look back, it was like kind of Mainz style to not make the goals from playing, but to have penalties. We usually don't get penalties, but it was a game where everything could happen. We were in the stand, and everybody was just like, what? Another penalty? Another penalty? And we were like, what's happening? It was very, very curious. We didn't know what was happening, and so it was funny. We had a blast. So everything all right. And what you didn't just say, Mainz is now maybe internationally the team who has scored the most penalties in a row. It's the 36th penalty that Mainz scored in a row, and the last penalty that was saved was in 2013.
Wow, really? Wow,
Yeah.
That is an interesting one. Yeah. At least when you get a penalty, it's going in the back of the net. You don't have to worry about that. But they were well taken. I think all of the penalties were really well taken. So you can see that the players, even the one from Ingvartsen, I mean, he doesn't get on the score sheet very much, does he? But even he easily put his penalty away very impressively, really.
So to kind of pushing forward then, Benedikt, and maybe looking at the rest of the season and maybe expectations and things. And so you've still got 8 games left, but only 3 of those are at home. And based off the fact that you're so strong at home, so in theory you would maybe pick up a good amount of points from that. But why do Mainz not travel so well? What's the thinking? Because it's been complete opposites. Because your home form is exceptional. I think you've only lost twice at home all season, but away from home, I think you've only won twice. So So is there anything behind that? Is it the way that the team plays slightly differently?
If I could answer that question, I think I would have a job at Mainz. It's nobody knows what's happening when you're not home to the squad. I don't know. Maybe the team is and the fans are like symbiotes to each other. So everybody pushes each other for the limit. But I don't think that can't be everything that's missing. I think it's kind of the mindset, and everybody thinks that's really curious. And 30 of 37 points are did we get at home. So
Yeah.
that's quite a spread. So yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Yeah, I just hope that maybe the away form is coming back again. We have the game against Augsburg that's coming up, which was postponed due to the Corona situation, which was a huge part why everybody was so excited that Mainz won so high against Bielefeld too, because the players played 2 games in 4 days, and they didn't get much playing time and training time in the last 2 weeks. So that's a huge job that the team did. So everybody's really proud, and I think if they can get through that mental barrier, and then even maybe from those 5 games away get like 7 to 9 points, that's all right. And then maybe we play internationally next year. Who knows?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to mention actually next, because I mean, you're obviously sat in 10th at the moment, but if you do win that game in hand, you would jump up to 7th. And we don't know the state of play re the Europa Conference League plays in terms of what's going to happen with the winners of the DFB Pokal. So it depends on where that kind of lies regarding that. But is that your hope more than your expectation, I presume? Because the start of the season, I'm guessing you would have been happy with a mid-table finish. Has Bo Svensson kind of lifted expectations at the club now?
Yeah, I think the expectations are a little bit higher, especially for the fans, after they seen that last year when I think that was 32, 33 points in Rückrunde, where everybody thought Mainz was gone to the second Bundesliga, but they prevailed, and that's such a good story, and everybody in Mainz knows how precious that is. We had like kind of in a similar story 25 years ago. It was the same story, and the person, the coach that like kind of founded the Mainzer Weg, the Mainz way, Wolfgang Frank. He had the best Rückrunde until that point ever in the second Bundesliga, and to have that mirrored 25 years later was it was really nice, and
Wow.
So I don't know. Maybe we go internationally, but it's always the pressure's higher. You have to have a larger squad, and you have more traveling costs, and I don't know. Maybe it's best if we don't go too high too fast. And take the road long and steady, and maybe next year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about, so obviously we've already talked a little bit about Mainz, but what made you become a Mainz fan then? Is it just a case of like being nearby your local area, or is it like family connections or something like that?
Yeah, it's like a combination, I think. I became Mainz fan in 2001 in one of the infamous 3 seasons where Mainz didn't get to go to Bundesliga. I was there in the last game against Fürth. It was the last home game, the second to last game of the season. And if Mainz win, they go up, and they played 1-1, and everybody was ready to party and to storm the field and everything. And it was kind of the beginning of where Mainz grew closer together, because there were 3 seasons like that. First, there was missing 1 point. Then there was missing 1 goal to go up, where Frankfurt scored, I think, 2 goals in additional time. And those were the 2 goals that they needed to go past Mainz. And the last year Mainz came together, and then they could go up. And that's the moment, grieving together because you can't go up, but also going past expectations of everybody together. That's the spirit we have in Mainz, and that's what we kind of found again in the last season. Going against expectations and being your best self, and proving everybody wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good 18 months or so for the club, that's for sure. Yeah.
Finally, just on Mainz, Benedikt, obviously in regards to your passion for the club and therefore what you do with the podcast. So how long have you been doing the podcast with your 2 other co-hosts? And is it just basically kind of like a fan forum, obviously by the fans, for the fans kind of deal?
Yeah, you could say that we are fans. In the meantime, we got a little bit experience in being kind of journalists and doing everything very professionally. But I think it's our 4th season. So I think August, October, maybe 2017, 2018, we started. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Yeah, but it was, we are a group of friends who always talk trash right before the game and during the games. And sometimes somebody said, maybe you should keep track of what you're saying and just record it. And that's what we did. And now we are the biggest podcast and the biggest fan medium you have in the Mainz sphere.
Yeah, interesting. Good. Excellent. So let's continue with our countdown. So obviously another game involving a side that was struggling, actually, that were struggling, but they're definitely going to be buoyant after this game, because it was a result that nobody predicted, this one. I think on our prediction show on Thursday night, I think all of us had a comfortable win for Hoffenheim down in this game, but that man working his magic again, Felix Magath, even though he wasn't actually on the touchline as well. And I think another interesting point for some of our UK viewers as well, it was actually Mark Fotheringham that was kind of leading them out. It's very, very rare we talk about a British coach, but obviously he was the man who was leading out. The Scottish, I think, he did play a few games in England, but obviously he was mostly I think his only kind of permanent position in management was at Cowdenbeath in the Scottish 2nd division or something. So you can see it was obviously quite a big day for him, leading his team out, and obviously, he did quite a good job as well, didn't he? Because I think nobody expected this one at all. I think for me, I like the way that Hertha lined up in this game as well. I really, really like the fact they only went with 1 up top. Obviously, for most of the season, they've been going with that 2 strikers, haven't they, with Belfodil alongside Jovetic. But in this game, they only went with 2 out and 1 out-and-out striker with 4 in behind, with Richter, Toussaint, Askibar and Serdar. I did like the look of this lineup a lot more than what they've been kind of showing. And I think I said to you, Rory, didn't I, that, the formation looks a lot better. The defensive midfielder, Stark, played kind of in between the midfield and the defense, and it seemed to work, didn't it? Because they massively nullified the effect of Hoffenheim. I think obviously Larsen had a really good chance early on, which perhaps he could have done a little bit better with. It wasn't an easy chance, but you'd expect to be hitting the target from there, really. But Benedikt, I mean, what did you think of Hertha? Do you think this is the start of a new era under Felix Magath, or is it just a bit of luck, do you think?
Felix Magath is a coach with a very rich history in German football. I think he coached like half of the clubs in the Bundesliga or so at some point, or was involved, or a manager, or just something like that. Yeah, it's certainly interesting. Everybody was really scratching their heads because nobody knew where that was coming from. Yeah, but he kind of has his way, and his way involves very much work and training and pushing yourself to the limit physically.
Mhm.
And if you have a team that is so talented like Hertha, they have a really good squad. There maybe just discipline and hard work is missing from that squad, and then he can be just the perfect coach for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was thoroughly well deserved. As you mentioned, Mark, the one chance for Brun Larsen early on, but that was pretty much it, wasn't it? That Hoffenheim could muster up, and I mean, lots of good play from set pieces. A couple of goals that are pretty much kind of carbon copies of each other. Good free kicks sent in by Plattenhardt. To kind of make the most of kind of sleeping defense, I guess, from Hoffenheim. So you kind of look at those goals. Hertha having a well structured team, well set up, working really hard. They were so aggressive. Had a really good press on Hoffenheim, which Hoffenheim are usually quite good at themselves. Noticeably straight away, I think when they won one possession quite high up the pitch early on in the match, and it might have been Richter who got the shot off just wide, and that was an early warning really for them. So I guess on the theme of the game, it's not a surprise that Hertha won this. Benedikt, very quickly, do you think that, with Hertha's slightly easier running, and now that the fact they've maybe got this momentum, do you expect them to be safe?
I don't think they're safe just yet. I think they need to build on what they started right this weekend. I think what you just said with the set pieces, every goal came from a set piece, and that's what clubs in danger do. They score goals from set pieces. It's the easiest way to score, and if they can maximize on those kind of things, and being aggressive and running more than the opponent, I think they have a chance. They have the team to do it, but they need to put in the work. And there are certainly other teams that look not so good than they look just like in this game. But if you think back, they didn't win 8 games. The last 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really big upset. If you think Hoffenheim won 4 of the last 5.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know what's in a team, and they just need to bring it out from themselves and push, and I think they have a chance.
Good stuff. We'll go on to some questions for you in a moment, Benedikt, that have just come in. But just on the other side of things for Hoffenheim, just a bad day at the office, I guess. Like you said, in the form team of the Bundesliga alongside RB Leipzig, only dropped points in the last 5 against Bayern in a creditable 1-1 draw. And I mean, they did have injuries, but the core of that team was still there. So a bit of a mystifying one from them, I guess. But considering the results that happened at the weekend, their efforts still come forth is still, well up there. So what do you envisage as a final position for Hoffenheim?
I think they will be, in the top. Maybe, I think 7th or maybe between 6th and 8th.
Okay, good stuff. So moving on, before we go on to the final game of the countdown, got a couple of questions in for you, Benedikt, so we can field them. First of all, from Paul McGarrigy, over the bars, Paul. So good evening, Paul. He's asked you, Benedikt, who is your favourite Mainz player of all time and why?
Of all time, Elkin Soto.
Okay.
Elkin Soto, he's the kind of guy. He had it really hard. He came to Mainz. He didn't get to play the first half because his old team from Colombia sued Mainz 05 because of the contract, and he just had it really hard. But in the moment when he went on the pitch, everybody knew he was down to do anything for the club. He maybe played, I think, 7 or 8 different positions every time he filled in. When somebody was injured, he was injured himself sometime. And maybe the most tragic story of his career is in his last home game. I think, of his last season in Mainz, maybe 2015 or so. That might have been. He got injured in the most horrifying way possible. He overbent his knee, and it wasn't even clear if he could keep onto his leg. Maybe he would lose it or so.
Wow.
Really horrifying situation. Everybody, the whole stadium, some people were crying. It was really, really hard. And a player who did everything for the club, did everything right. And Mainz did also do the right thing. And they extended his contract, even though they didn't have to, so that he would have health insurance and that he would have the chance to get fit again. And I think the journey was maybe 1 year to get fit, and sometimes he had to learn to walk again. Everything in between. Such a horrifying injury. And when he went on the pitch for the last 5 minutes on that last game of his career, the whole stadium exploded. Everybody was so hyped, and he's just my favorite player.
Yeah,
love that. And then the second question that we've had in is from Mark Baker. So good evening to you, Mark. He's asked, how many football grounds has Benedikt have you been to, and which is your favourite?
That's a hard question. I have I've seen my fair share of grounds, but if I had to say which was my favorite, I'm a little bit on my father's side of a Schalke fan, and I think Felddienst Arena is the atmosphere, with the roof and everything, is just special. Yeah, maybe Felddienst Arena, but you can never say a word against Old Bruchweg. That was intense. That stadium, that was really intense.
Yeah, you got to say the Max Morlock Stadium of the mighty Nuremberg as well. Have you been there as well? Have you been there, Benedikt?
Unfortunately not.
You got to come over. Like, hopefully, if Nuremberg get promoted this season, which is on the card, you can come over and watch a game. It'd be great.
Very well. I'll come by.
Yeah, well, you're invited if we get up, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're invited to Mainz too.
I'll be
way
there.
around.
Don't worry. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so let's have a look at the game of the week. I think it's quite a clear one, really, this one, isn't it? And obviously, it involves Rory's team, Stuttgart, as well, doesn't it? I mean, what a game this was. We knew this was built up to be a massive 6-pointer, as we always say, don't we? But this was a classic 6-pointer. We knew that whoever won this game was going to be in the better position going into the last 7 games, and it was indeed Stuttgart, but it was no kind of easy path, was it? Let's be honest. I mean, obviously they went behind twice. the first goal, was quite a well-worked goal. It was a classic Augsburg goal, really, wasn't it? With Iago clipping in that corner, not the corner, the cross, and then Andre Hahn hammering it home on the volley. Really, quite a good goal, really. But they get a lot of goals from out wide, don't they? At that point, you're just thinking, Stuttgart with a full house as well, great crowd on as well in Baden-Württemberg for this game. You're just thinking, just as they look as though they've got some momentum behind the club, are they going to go and lose such a big game? We know that Augsburg can be quite resolute defensively when they go ahead, as we saw at Bielefeld a few weeks ago. And we've seen ever since we started doing this show, really, that they sometimes make up for that lack of quality by being just very, very resolute and hard to beat sometimes, But obviously Stuttgart fought hard. They got level through that man, Anton. Bit of a scrappy goal, really, the first one, only to fall behind again just a couple of minutes later, didn't they, through Gregorovitz? Yeah, and you're just thinking, oh, come on, it's not going to be another of those days, is it? But the second half of this one was just a half to remember, really, for the home side, wasn't it? And obviously Stuttgart getting the win in the end with 2 late goals. Benedikt, do you think Stuttgart deserved this win, or were they a little bit lucky to get the win?
No, they absolutely deserve that. Such team, you just have to like how they play offensively. I think 9 shots on target in the first half, the most shots in the Bundesliga this season. For one half, I think that's just amazing, and that they didn't score more often is just sad in this moment. But you just know you can't turn off the TV if Stuttgart is playing. The last 15 minutes is so intense. I looked it up just before the show. 10 goals in the last 6 games in the last 15 minutes of the game. 10 the last 6 games. That's just so intense.
Yeah.
It was a hard watch at the weekend, and if one team I felt like I didn't want to go 1-0 down to, it was Augsburg, because, like you say, Mark, they do know how to get those wins at this time of the season, especially. We said it at the start of the season, how we fancied them to go down, but then the season goes on, we're like, they just know how to pick up wins at the right time. So 1-0 down early on, I was like, there's still loads of time, and it sounds like we're playing well. 1-1, absolutely, fantastic. Take that into half time. Can't even do that. Defensively, I think both goals are quite poor. I think Sousa should do better at the back for the first goal. He's ball watching, and Andre Hahn just drifts off him. Second goal, Arnie Meyer just kind of dances through about 3 or 4 tackles to set up Gregorovitz to make it 2-1. But I mean, if you say that a team got lucky, or did they deserve it based on looking at the scoreline, they completely deserved to win. Stuttgart, they were really good. Attacked really well. I think Giekewitz made a couple of really big saves. I think right at the end, Dorsch made like a goal line clearance where he should have made it 4-2. That was crazy.
Save of the season.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah,
that was crazy. So that made it even more nerve-wracking. But yeah, that, as I've mentioned, that front three maybe now coming to the rescue in terms of the loney Thiago Tomas, who obviously got the winner. Omar Marmouche, lovely free kick at an incredibly important time. If he doesn't score that, we probably lose. And Sasa Kalajdzic probably on another day does score a couple of goals. So, Benedikt, do you think that front three are enough to keep VfB afloat?
I think they need to keep it up. They conceded the goals too easy, just like you said. The 2-1, that was just you have to feel so sorry. You just scored, and then it's like, why does this always happen? I don't know. So many games have one team scores, the other team scores. Like maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, it's such a psychological a disadvantage in that moment to get a goal. Yeah, and but the same thing as Hertha, they scored on their set pieces. It was it's really important, and Borna Sosa, maybe one of the best free kick takers in the Bundesliga. Maybe one of the best left defenders with his crosses and so. And the Sasa Kalajdzic connection, that's real. Yeah. So I think they can get it done if Bielefeld and Augsburg especially lose a few more games, and Stuttgart keep having these positive moments for themselves. That's huge.
Yeah, I think at one point, playing with my emotions, we were down in 17th. Obviously, Hertha started winning. I was like, this is not going to be my day, but ended up finishing the day in 14th. So, what a swing. Incredibly big swing. Obviously, it's so close, and it will keep on changing as each match day continues. So, it will go to the wire for sure. Augsburg, they're a bit of a mess at the moment because they don't threaten too much going forwards, and at the moment they're also leaking goals. Not great for them, I guess. So with all that in mind, shall we? We'll move on to this week's Bundesliga boxes talking point, and it's something that we won't dwell on for too long, but it's something that we just wanted to touch on with everyone. So it's based on Friday night's game, as obviously the VfL Bochum were hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach, and an incident in the crowd as someone threw a cup or a glass of beer at the linesman, which led to a break in play and then to the eventual abandonment of the game. So our question basically is, what punishment should Bochum face, if any, for that incident? So I'll just throw it straight over to you, Benedikt. What were your thoughts about the incident, and what you think should be done with regards to settling this incident in general?
Yeah, I think I was quite shocked when I saw the video. That doesn't happen so often. It happened once in the Bundesliga, I think maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Schalke against St. Pauli. I think it was absolutely right to call off the game, and I think there's no discussion. This game will be awarded to Mönchengladbach. The score is all right. It will be 2-0 either way. The goal scorers, I think, will stand. I think a similar punishment to that hit St. Pauli a few years back is appropriate. Maybe a home game without any fans. I think they turned the case around, and they didn't need to have no fans. But the game couldn't be held at their own stadium. It had to be 50 kilometers away or so. I think they played in Lübeck in that year. So a huge loss of income. Maybe you don't know with this whole COVID situation. If they would have had that much income, you don't know how many fans are even allowed to go into the stadium. There will have to be some kind of decision, but I think that's maybe what they will face. And the culprit, which I don't know if it's official yet. I heard rumors that he may have been caught today on the video material. I think he will face lifelong, or at least maybe 10-year-long ban from all stadiums in Germany, at least. Maybe even I don't know if that goes to has something to do with UEFA or so. But yeah, I think he can at least expect to never go to a stadium in the next 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. Mark, what do you reckon in terms of should they just be punishing the individual, or should Bochum suffer because the teams have suffered enough financially, haven't they, for not having fans in the stadium? And do you think that the Bundesliga have tripped themselves up by abandoning the game because it still had 20 minutes to go? So can Bochum then say there's still 20 minutes left of the game that's 2-0? We could have come back and drawn that game.
Yeah, I think obviously from the perspective of an English person, I think if this happened in the Premier League, they probably would have come back and finished the game, to be honest with you. I've got to say, that's my opinion. I think, but I know that in Germany, they obviously do have a kind of strict policy against any kind of crowd violence. It's something that Germany just simply doesn't accept, basically. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's got to be remembered as well. So I wasn't surprised about the fact the game was abandoned. I think, to be honest, one thing that we've not mentioned is a potential points deduction, because actually I think something similar happened in France. There were 2 incidents this year in Ligue 1 in France where 2 teams, I think it was Lyon and Nice, were actually deducted 1 point for similar incidents, actually. I think it was Payet from Marseille was hit by... It was both times him, actually, for some reason. I don't know what they don't like about him, but I think it was both times he was hit by a bottle, and actually the clubs were deducted 1 point as well, on top of the result being awarded to the other team, which is like... I'm not sure whether Germany will go down that route. Maybe that would be a little bit too harsh to punish like the club so much just for one fan, but... I think crowd violence is something that's kind of become more and more normal over the last 12 months or so since the return from COVID. I think even in England, they say the police have reported that, more and more crowd incidents of disorderly behavior and things have become more and more normal. So this is maybe something that the DFB will want to kind of stamp out. And for me, I think, I would agree with Benedikt that I think one game behind closed doors would probably be enough. And the game awarded to Gladbach, I would say that would be enough of a punishment rather than deducting points. But I wouldn't be completely surprised to see potentially 1 point deducted from Bochum.
Interesting stuff. Well, like we said, won't dwell on it too much because it's not something we like to talk about in a negative context at all about the league. So we shall leave it there. And as a result, we can basically bring the show to a close for this evening. So thank you, everyone, for watching this evening. Benedikt, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Really enjoyed talking Bundesliga football with you and your stories about Mainz. Really, really enjoyable. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Lovely
Thanks
stuff.
so much.
Over to you, Mark, to close out the show.
Yeah, for sure. So if you enjoyed what you watched here, remember to follow us on Twitter at @OverTheBarFB and at @OverTheBarExtra. Also, remember to check out our main page as well. Remember, we're not only a YouTube channel here at OTB Football as well. So remember to check out otbfootball.net. You can see a lot of our written articles on not just the Bundesliga. We also have the League One and League Two show, obviously, from the English lower leagues for any of you guys who are interested in that. We have a lot of other written articles on just about everything football related, really, about like international games, about lower league football, Premier League football, Scottish football, even for some of you real enthusiasts out there, remember to check that out. And also, as I say, remember to like, comment, and subscribe below. We've seen a slow progress, but we are getting like very close to 500 now, which is a decent number, So let's keep on growing at a rapid rate. So thanks a lot again to Benedikt. And we will see you again on actually no, because it's the international week now. We'll see you again in 10 days time after the international week. So all the best, guys, and see you then.
Cheers all.